see you, Georgie. Thank you for joining. I can't see TikTok. Are we on TikTok?
Yep.
Okay, everyone on TikTok. Karibuni, good evening. It's 7:01 p.m. Tuesday, the 12th of September, 2023. It's a rainy night or evening here in Nairobi, Kenya. Please let us know if you're joining us live, where you're tuning in from, or where you're joining from. The city would suffice. It's always nice for us to know where our community is joining from, and please don't be shy. Let us know. I hope you can all hear us clearly. If you can, just give us a thumbs up on the feed.
Not yet.
Are we good?
Yep. Yeah.
We're good. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you for letting us know that you can hear us. Sawa. So let's get on with it for the sake or the interest of time. As always, Tuesdays we take on a different format where you have an opportunity to call in live or send voice notes to our WhatsApp number. Excuse me. And the number, in case you haven't seen it yet, scrolling somewhere beneath me, is 0700010001. Again, that's 0700010001. And we will play your message out loud on speaker so that everyone can hear your question or comments or commentary, whatever it is you want to share or make a statement about. And we will also have an opportunity to respond to you live so that everyone else can be edified by whatever response we may have. So please go ahead and do that. Don't be shy. Call live and send in your voice notes if you're feeling too shy to call us live. Again, the number is 0700010001. That's 0700010001. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'm here with Gladys, one of my associates, Team Grand Acres. What do we call ourselves? There was a name. Grandies. Yeah, I haven't gotten used to that one. And David is behind the cameras, the one-eyed monsters that I'm talking into. It takes team effort to get these done. So if you hear me refer to someone around me, I'm not talking to myself. Don't be concerned. I'm just making sure that everything is good on the back end. So please do send in your questions, comments, commentary, something you saw in the news, something you're struggling with, something you've gone through, experienced, and we'll be happy to address that as concisely, as truthfully, as honestly as possible in the appropriate way. Okay?
It's asking you to share the number again.
Who's asking that?
Nancy.
Nancy, the number is 0700010001. Again, that's 0700010001. I hope that means you're calling us right away, Nancy. So many of you have tuned in. Thank you so much. Daudi K, I see you on Instagram. Wendy Ojiro, Karibu, Owen Bubus, Nello 97 Mwas, Simon Jogu, let's see who else. Abdullah, what's that? Abdullah what? Abdul Fatah. Alan Bash, Karibu, Dennis Obaye, Phil, Busuru Collins, Fancy Chipo. I like that one, Fancy Chipo. Konim Rutu, or Oyaniv Bien, Dennis Obaye. Dennis Obaye is on multiple streams. George Kagwe, as always, you guys are awesome. Thank you for making time. I can only view on Instagram, so everyone on TikTok, likewise to you. Thank you for making time to join. Let's have a good conversation. So, send in your questions. If you don't, Gladys and I and David will just sit here and stare at each other for the next 93 minutes. So, don't stare us. We can do it.
Please, today we have background music.
Okay. Nice. Thank you, Dennis, for letting us know where you're tuning from. I love Qatar. I've been to Doha twice. What an amazing place. Insane what human creativity can do with a little bit of capital in the middle of the desert. Amazing, amazing place. Wendy Ojiro, I see you. Architect Joseph, Mel Kimani, Black Lion International, Karibu, Evelyn Kawinzi, Nduku, welcome all. Don't be quiet, guys. Send a comment, question. Let us know what city you're tuning in from. If you have a friend or family member that's keen on land investment or property investments in general in Kenya, or their experience and are happy to learn more or participate more with an amazing community of people like ourselves on this live right now, send the link with them, invite them to join. If you know someone that's going through something hectic in the property sector, share as well. You don't have to disclose identities if you're not comfortable doing so. But the point for today, as always, Tuesdays, live calls or voice notes that will play live and respond to live. Okay, very different from Thursdays where we respond to comments as they come in. Today, only live calls. So we will not be responding to comments because we want to create this culture for live call Tuesdays. So send those questions in. Send them in. Nduku is tuning in from Washington, D.C., man. And I've been closely following your advice, wishing you could reach out to more of us out here. I always so too, Nduku. Thank you for tuning in. I lived in D.C. for almost a year, about 11 months. In 2007, my favorite city in the U.S. was Washington, D.C. Amazing. I miss the place. I hope to visit again soon. And hopefully I get to meet you all when we do our diaspora city tours like we did last year. So stay tuned for that, Nduku. Once we're able to, we will advertise and you and the rest of your awesome people around you that are keen to invest in property back home, want to learn how to do it safely with trustworthy partners, you can all join and we can keep it going. Wanjiru Boogie, I see you. Day_Bebet, we see you. Thank you for joining.
There's more guys on YouTube and Facebook. Yeah, that's it here.
Architect Joseph is asking. Architect Joseph, you almost got me, man. I almost asked you a question. I'm not gonna read your question. You have to call in and ask your question. Leo Nicole's Bekake. Calls only, guys, today. Vincent Okumu. Oh man, there's a lot of you on is that Facebook?
There's YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, YouTube and Facebook. I see you guys. Nancy. Washu. What's up, Washu? Thank you for joining as always. Now I feel complete. Yeah, I was wondering where Washu was. Washu is saying, teach us something in between calls. What can I teach in between calls? Washu, maybe you have an idea. But you have to call. So you can't type piga simu tusikie sauti ama tuma voice note.
So Nancy has texted on WhatsApp, but she hasn't sent any voice note. She's just saying okay to call. I think we should call her.
Sure. Well, are you sure she wants us to call?
I'm not sure. She just said she's okay to call, but it's not clear. So maybe she can make it clear before we.
Nancy, please let us know. I know you're chatting on WhatsApp if you want us to call you or if you're gonna call us, so that we don't nyemelea your private space where you're at.
She'll call in a few.
Sorry?
She'll call in a few. She's struggling to call.
Okay.
Okay, Nancy, I hope she's able to get through. We are waiting with bated breath for your call, Nancy. Hopefully others will call as well. Send in your questions, comments, something you saw in the news you want to comment about, even if you don't have a question. If you want to compliment us and say nice things about us to our faces live, feel free to do so also. We don't mind, even if you don't have a question. If you have a criticism as well, we welcome that. Okay, so don't be shy. We're all human. We could all use opportunities to learn and grow, and say I am sorry if offense was given. So feel free to do so. Guys, I'm giving you every single opportunity to call about anything, because Tuesdays is live calls only. We are determined to make this a Tuesday culture. Unless you guys don't like it at all, yeah, if so, let us know also, because we were responding to some requests for live calls. If most of you are not feeling the vibes for the live call Tuesday, we're happy to change the format, because after all, we do this for you. It's not because we have nothing better to do with our time on a Tuesday evening. We're here to serve. So let us know also. We want to hear from you. Comment, say something. Only condition is you have to call, even if it's the last time you're going to call. Just Chaser_Chris, I see you. Ayu Sobeni, Karibu. Thank you, Ayu Sobeni. I see your compliment there. We appreciate you watching our content. Voice notes?
Yes.
Awesome. Twende kazi.
So.
Play it louder so everyone can hear.
Okay.
And who is it from?
It's from Pete, because I'm saying our previous conversation, he said it's Pete using my wife Catherine's line, so I'm not sure if it's Catherine or Pete.
Okay.
But I'll play it.
Sure.
Good evening, Solo. Pretty girl there. I think you would be very ardent viewers should you coming on. There's been a challenge on Facebook, Dead Capital. I'm sure you've come across it. What's your view on building such beautiful yet possibly dead stock houses in the village? Your personal view first, and then your professional view of the same. Thank you.
Hi, Pete. Thank you so much for being the first one to send a voice note. Man, we have to send Pete something, a gift, to say thank you for breaking the silence. I appreciate you making the time to ask that, Pete. And so your question on dead capital as relates to beautiful palatial homes in the village that only get used on Easter holidays and Christmas. Wow, that's a deep one. So I laugh because every time I go to my shags, which is in Wangwe, some of my elder aunties will always end their goodbyes by saying, and I quote, "Nakuja ujenge." Never mind that at that very moment, I am walking out of a 3-bedroom bungalow that my father built in the village a long time ago. I think I was still in primary school when he started building the thing. And primarily, he built it as a guest house behind the main house to accommodate me, because I had been circumcised, and traditionally I'm not supposed to be sleeping under the same roof as my mother after circumcision as a young, a newly minted man. And a lot of Kenyan cultures have the same tradition, right? I still use that house every time I'm in charge. Actually, lately we tend to prefer to stay in the main house with mom and dad because of the kids who want to be around their grandparents 100% of the time. And it's comical to me every time my aunties throw that jab at me. Now, kuja ujenge. Because for me, it's a complete waste of resource. And thankfully, I feel this way now, because otherwise I would have been a zombie of sorts, just sort of following the trajectory that a lot of people in my generation, even my dad's generation, where you had to establish yourself as a responsible family man, responsible to the extended family, responsible to the clan, and showing solidarity to your home, your roots, by building a home, mashambani. And obviously, if you're going to build a home, you want it nice. So people invest all sorts of monies and resources in these things, and then they only stay in them on Easter and Christmas mostly. Maybe 1 or 2 times in between, if you find a funeral or a wedding. And to me, that is a completely irresponsible way to use resource. And I have resisted that myself. The most I would do is refurbish the beautiful structure that my father built, maybe modernize a few features, the bathrooms, kitchens, that sort of thing, optimize the already built space, as opposed to tying up all that capital in a place that is not a primary residence, and neither is it making me any money. I can't put it on Airbnb. Even if I could, am I comfortable doing that? It's where my parents live in their retirement. It's personal space. It's ancestral home. Do I really want strangers coming there on Airbnb because I can sweat the asset and make some money? Personally, no. And so, my advice to people is take that money, buy an apartment in Nairobi, in Mombasa, in Nakuru, in Kisumu, in Eldoret, where you can rent the thing and it can give you some sort of return that you can sweat it. I'd rather put the money even in T-bills if you wanted something less fixed or not as hard fixed as property. I would even consider fixed deposit accounts, honestly. Today, there's all sorts of options, index funds, because at least those give you a yearly return, which compounded over time could be very interesting. So that's my personal view. And if you're curious about my professional, from a professional basis, it remains the same. Now, obviously, because I'm in the business of providing investment opportunities, land and property investment opportunities for fellow Kenyans at home and abroad, it might make sense for me to buy as big as I can in rural Kenya and master plan a rural compound for people who want their own space. I get a lot of requests from, particularly those from Western Kenya, who feel like a lot of us land selling companies and property peddling entities are very busy in predominantly Maasai and Kikuyu zones. And while they are happy to invest because they have multiple times on all our projects, they wish that we would do something for them in their ancestral homes, or at least close to. So my relatives from Luyaland, from Western Nyanza, and so on, always ask, can't you do something closer on that side, across the Rift Valley, so that at least it's near my ancestral home? So for us, it might make sense to go buy a 5-acre block, master plan, rural compounds with a decent home, nice vegetable patch garden in the back, a place that people can call their own, that is also potentially usable for rental income, short stays or Airbnb. Obviously, location becomes absolutely key for that sort of strategy, because you can't be deep into the interior if you want to do Airbnb type of rentals. But even then, I would rather invest our capital in much more active zones where there's higher pressure for demand on space, on affordable housing, decent living, and that sort of thing. So in general, I'm not for it. That's my personal view. Professionally, that bleeds over, and I think there's a lot better things to do with that capital than put it in a property, no matter how beautiful in the village, that you only use 2 or 3 times a year. That is irresponsible use of precious capital resource. So there you go. Thank you for that question, Pete. I'd be curious to hear what you think, Pete. Perhaps you can share a thought or two about that.
Washu has shared her thoughts.
I'm going to my voice note. Awesome.
For what you're saying.
Let's hear what she's thought.
She says,
Wait, no typing.
oh, she has to call.
Wait, it's live Tuesdays. Yeah, Washu, yeah, you're not getting away. Come on, voice note. Come on, we can call you, Washu. We have your number. Just give us a word. I know Washu tends to be very strongly opinionated and very well informed. And she's a seasoned investor, so I'd be keen to hear what she thinks about this question from Pete.
In 2 seconds.
Awesome.
All right, we'll wait. There's another voice note.
Okay.
From Abdul Fatah. I think it's the one.
Abdul Fatah. Awesome. I think we spoke to Abdul last time as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Wangwe. I got acquisitions after I was 5 years old, which we have from Mombasa. Question for you today. How long does the transfer process take place after the purchasing price is down or after the buyer has completed the payment? And the second part of the question, what time of the month is it best to buy the land?
All right, that's an interesting question. From Abdul Fatah. Thank you, sir, for sending your question. Really appreciate you joining us from Mombasa. That's Washu calling. Okay, let me answer Washu's call, then we'll get to Abdul Fatah's. Hey, Washu.
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, Washu, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Thanks for calling, Washu.
Okay, we really need to open this for discussion. We really need to discuss, especially the older millennials and the middle millennials. What's happening in generation Z and the Alpha generation. So yes, I really need to make a very personal, emotional comment on building, for our parents. So I don't know if the caller earlier was more concerned about building for our parents or just building in shacks, period.
Maybe Pete can clarify.
Yes, so building in shacks, that is questionable. It will depend on, I don't know what other factors, but for me, whether you call it black tax or whatever you want to call it, my parents are not going to live in a shanty. And I'm here in Los Angeles enjoying life and living beautifully. That is not going to happen. So my mom is going to live great. I'm going to build that home in shacks or whatever she chooses to live, whatever she wants. I'm going to try and give her that. And of course, that's where she's gonna be living. For the rest of her life, whatever she chooses to spend time for the rest of her life, that's where I'm gonna jengea. And nitamjengea nyumba yenye iwataka. Always on, So and I'm not asking even to be forgiven. I'm not even asking for excuses here. I am just saying our parents should not live in shanties just because there's this argument that we cannot, we eat a weight of resources building home. No, I feel offended, Solomon. I feel offended. The rest of the caveats are there. If maybe you don't have your parents yet, but still, for us living, wetu wenye tuko ughaibuni, watoto wetu tunataka tuwapeleke wapi? Because me, I'm African. African is in me. My children will need to know where they came from. And I pray for a life where I can live in Kenya 6 months and I can live in America another 6 months. You know that already. So what do you want me to do with my children? Nataka watoto wangu wakilala wapi hotelini? No. Even when the parents are not there, I believe it's a right. It's a generational right for them to know where they actually came from. You know where it gets personal, Solomon. Here. So yeah, those are my comments on that. And I'm gonna go back on Facebook to listen to your input and so that I can hear if the other person will respond. Clarify the voice.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Washu. Appreciate you as always. I think Washu is spot on, which is why for me I said, talking about my own example, my father has built a decent home. It's actually quite nice. My dad is he has paid those. He did well. We were blessed. Like as I said before, my sisters and I won the lottery on parents. Every time I leave Shags, having spent time with my parents, occasionally I'd be leaving from the 3-bedroom guest house that was built for me as a young, newly circumcised man to use. Traditionally, I'm not supposed to live under the same or sleep under the same roof as my mother. Even then, my aunties would put pressure on me to build my own house because the ones I'm living in were built by my father. And these are decent homes. So in that context, it's a complete waste of resource. It's downright reprehensible. Now, if my folks didn't have a decent place to live, absolutely. I'm with you, Washu. I would invest and make sure that my parents were living with dignity, the dignity they deserve. It's our responsibility as children, particularly as African children, to take care of the welfare of our parents. So I'm 100% with you, Washu. Make sure your mom is living properly. After all, you are where you are largely because of contributions she made as she sacrificed things in her own life so that you could have. So I'm with you, 1,000,000%. Thankfully for me, my folks sorted themselves out with a decent home when we were much younger. Still standing today, decent place, friends and family visit. They love staying there. Christmases, friends will come. They don't want to leave. Beautiful. If I showed you photos of my shags, you'd feel Kiwaru. It's nice. It's in Webuye. And in case you've never been to Western Kenya, please do yourself a favor. Go visit. Breathtaking countryside, always green, endless beauty, huge population, so people tend to have smaller parcels of land. But because of my particular experience, in answer to Pete's question and commenting on Washu's take, for me it would be responsible to spend money building a shack or a palace when there are already decent places to live, because I don't live there. I'm there a few times a year, if at all, to visit mom, dad, attend funerals, Christmas. Traditionally, we're always there. If my parents had no place to live, 100% I'm with Washu. Make sure they're living la vida loca. Do your thing. Make sure that they're enjoying their home and their retirement, living in dignity. So that's my take, Washu. I don't think we're in disagreement. I don't know if Pete has clarified, but we can get into Abdul Fattah's question. From Mombasa, how long does it take to transfer property after you're done with the transaction? It depends on the registry that you're dealing with, number one. Number two, also depends on the diligence and effectiveness of the advocate who is handling that for you. That's just a fact. I mean, I'll give you an example. We recently concluded a transaction that had to be done at Arabi House. And Arabi House is famous for being complicated. It's messy. If you don't know your way around Arabi House, you'll get eaten up alive. And one of our, actually I'll say our top tier advocates, I won't mention them for now. Hopefully they can join us for a live session so you can meet them and get to know what and appreciate why we do use them for certain transactions. These guys registered a title in RD House in less than 48 hours. I've never seen that done, not that fast. Not in RD House. I've seen it done that fast in Nanyuki back in 2012, 2013. These days it's difficult to get it done that fast, legally, okay, and morally, without bribing someone to spindisha things. Bribery, in my opinion, is equal to witchcraft. Not my opinion, actually. It's written in the good book that is called the Bible. Bribery is likened to witchcraft. We are not witch doctors. We don't practice witchcraft, so we do not support that sort of activity. So you can do it quick. It just depends on how diligent you are, your resources available to follow up with the officers in the registry. As you can imagine, these public officers are overwhelmed. It's constantly busy. They never have a break. So they will only deal with the hottest fire at the moment. And that usually means the guy who is sitting at the bench for 5 hours asking, is it ready? Is it ready? Is it ready? Wakiwakodolea macho hivi. Those are the guys that they'll get rid of quickly. Whereas if you don't follow up or your lawyer doesn't, it can sit there for days, weeks. We actually had an experience in Kajiado County once. It took an entire year to register a single title deed. Now, granted, this was because of a corrupt registrar at the time. We actually ended up writing letters of complaint formally to the senior lands registrar at the RD House, copied everyone down the chain, including the Minister for Lands at the time. And because our letter got registered officially, the registrar in question released our title quickly because disciplinary action was on the way. But it took us a whole year to get to that point, begging, following up, being told come next week. Eventually, it turns out he wanted a bribe. He specifically asked for 50,000 shillings to transfer this title or to sign it off. It literally sat on his desk for an entire year because we would not pay the bribe. And sometimes it takes that sort of persistence and hard-headedness to just get them to move without selling your soul in the process or engaging in corrupt activity. So, simplest answer, Abdul Fattah, is it depends. It depends on your lawyer, how efficient they are, their networks in the registry. Depends on how efficient the particular registry is itself, separate from your advocate. Because for a long time, even at RD House, you couldn't even do a search for months. No activity was going on there because the registry shut down for digitization, this, that, or the other. So just be sure which registry you're dealing with. Make sure you work with a licensed advocate who is hungry to deliver, to do it right, to do it quickly, and do it cleanly. Okay? And all the best to you, Abdul Fattah. Did Abdul Fattah have a second part to that question?
Yeah.
What was the second part?
Good evening, Mr. Wangwe and Cloud Acquisitions. Abdul Fattah here, 25 years old, watching live from Mombasa. Question for you today. How long does the transfer process take place? has completed the payment? And the second part of the question, what time of the month is it best to buy the land?
Yeah. What time of the month is it best to buy the land? That was Abdul Fattah's second question. I suspect Abdul Fattah is asking that as relates to land control board hearings. Again, the answer to that, Abdul Fattah, is it depends, because if you have to go to the land control board to get consents to transfer the property to yourself from the seller, or from yourself as a seller to your buyer, each land control board will have their roster for the entire year plastered on the public notice board for the year in advance. So you know every month specifically which dates they will be meeting. So I tend to work backwards. If I know that, for example, in Kajiado, they meet every last Wednesday. This is Kajiado South. If you're on that corridor for Mashuru, Oloitoktok, towards Oloitoktok, up towards this Emali side, you will have to attend the land control board in Mashuru, Sabo County of Kajiado County. They meet every last Wednesday of each month, and I know that for a fact for the whole year. I will tend to try and engage my transactions before, maybe 2 weeks before that particular date, because in Mashuru sub-county, you have to register your booking to appear before the land control board at least 7 business days before the actual land board hearing date. Okay, you have to have booked, you have paid, you surrender the documents, and they book you and they prepare the program for that particular day, 7 days in advance. So working backwards, I know I have until the second Wednesday or third Wednesday of the month to book, in which case, however long it takes for me to do a sale agreement and agree with the seller or the buyer before that third Wednesday, I need to get it done before, so that I'm not wasting an entire month waiting for the next land control board, so that I can proceed with my transfers. Okay, so it depends on where you are. Every land board has its own date. In Nanyuki, where we attend the land board quite frequently, they meet every second Thursday of the month. Every second Thursday. So I work backwards that way. And that way I'm wasting as little time as possible before the actual land control board hearing. When I receive the required land control board consent, that is part of the documentation that the registrar will need to effect a transfer of ownership from myself to our buyer, or from my seller to myself. Okay, so that's the best way to think about it. Otherwise, any time of the month is just fine. Thank you for that question, Abdul Fattah. Awesome. Do we have any other?
Not yet.
No other voice note? All right. Anthony Karanja, I see you. Thank you for joining. DJ Lemsky, Jack Karaoke, Stay Stylish, Home Interiors, D Naughty, Edu, I see you. Miss Kimani, that's a cool handle. Thank you for tuning in. Cardinal, Clive, I see you all. Thank you. And again, I invite you to send your questions, voice notes, call us live. Let's have a conversation. Share an experience, maybe positive or negative. You have a criticism to make of Grand Acres or Goshen acquisitions, we welcome that as well. We're not afraid to have difficult conversations, as long as in the end it edifies everyone. Of course, keep your comments respectful. We do not condone disrespect and insulting on any of our platforms, so it doesn't need to be said, but I'll say it just in case. So let's get it going, guys. We have 19 minutes left before we have to say good night. Let's make use of that time and see if we can learn something new.
So Nancy has said you can call her.
Awesome. Nancy, is she? She's not. She's not in the country, is she?
Yeah, but her number is Kenya. I asked if we call using the same number. She said okay, because you're not able to call from the WhatsApp software.
Okay.
Yeah, so we made her number that you can call on normal calls.
All right. Oh, all right. 18 minutes left. Like I said, if you guys don't send in your live calls or voice notes, we're gonna sit here and stare at each other until 8 p.m. So please don't be shy. Call in, say something.
It's a follow-up.
Another question from Mr. Wangwe. Do you see a possible future in Kenya where the transfer will be quick, will be fast, just like when purchasing a car in Kenya?
Thank you, Abdul Fatah, for question number 3. Do I foresee a future in Kenya where transfers can be quick and efficient, like for vehicles? I believe so. I mean, we already have a lot of precedents globally. For instance, in the West, in the US, transfers are almost instantaneous. I dream of living in a Kenya where I can transact on property as quickly and as painlessly and as efficiently. I actually used to flip homes in the US before I came back home in 2009. I did that for about 4 years, leading up to the 2008 global credit crisis that we all felt. And on a number of occasions, I actually, from the East Coast in North Carolina, on the computer, I could survey neighborhoods on the West Coast. And the West Coast is what? 6-hour flight from the East Coast. You're literally across the sub of the continent, really. I could view neighborhoods, look at listings virtually, make offers, never having left my living room in North Carolina on the East Coast, and sell them. I sold 2 properties that way, bought and sold 2 properties completely remotely. There was no issues of fear around, that getting caught is a title legitimate. Those issues have been sorted out by the system. In Estonia, for instance, they have made use of the blockchain technology to handle all government records, which is just miraculous to hear about and to watch happen. I am aware that the only time you actually interact physically with another human being in a property transaction in Estonia is at the end when the registrar will summon you and the other party. So it's the 3 of you on a desk, and the reason they summon you is to make sure that you're not being forced to buy and that the seller is not being forced to sell against a will. That's it, and you're dismissed. And before you get to your vehicle or get home, the transfer is done. Title in your name. How beautiful is that? I foresee that absolutely for Kenya. We might be able to stall it, but it's inevitable. Resistance is futile, as they used to say. It's just a matter of time, and I do look forward to that. I think our current administration is very forward-thinking in that regard as far as delivery of government services. I am hoping and praying that they do take on the issue of blockchain seriously, which is true digitization. In Kenya, we call scanning of physical papers into the cloud digitization. That's not digitization, because you still need human intervention to access records. What we need to do is completely remove human touch points in that process to make it lightning fast and 100% trustable. And that is how we unlock the true value and potential of our beautiful country. I do look forward to that day. So yes, Abdul Fattah, I do foresee that. Let's all pray it happens in our lifetimes.
All right, so we have, okay, Nancy has shared a voice note.
Okay.
There's, I don't know if it's the same Nancy. Oh.
Glad you're falling asleep on the phone.
No, it's, I think it was a wrong one.
I'm really sorry, I would have loved to join, but I'm not able to join for some reason. I don't know, but anyway, I'll straight away shoot my question on the voicemail. So this is the question. I've got a piece of personal land that I'm buying. Now, it's a family land. The title deed is still on the museum, and the person who's selling me the land is the daughter. Now, I've done the search, I've done the mutation, I've done all the processes that I've listened on your YouTube, or from your YouTube. But my question is, I mean, what do I need? Is there anything, is there a red flag on this? Or, I mean, could you just help me on that? So I'll repeat again, the land is on Muse's title deed. The daughter, the Muse has partitioned the piece of land in a few pieces. The daughter is the one who's selling me her piece of land, but the name in the title deed is the father. Now, the father and the daughter are more than happy. We go to the lawyers, they do all that needs doing. So, is there anything that I need to worry? Is there something that you could correct me before I get myself in? I'm hoping I'm not getting myself in trouble, but please, can you try help me on that, please?
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy, for your voice note. It is very loud and clear. And I get your situation 100%, which is you're buying land that belongs to a family. The title deed is registered to an old man, the family patriarch, Mzee, who has subdivided into various parcels. And you are dealing directly with one of his daughters who is selling her parcel that's been subdivided, except that the subdivided title is still in the dad's name, the Mzee. But the Mzee and the daughter are in agreement about you purchasing, and there are no issues with you dealing with the lawyer. Overall, I'd say you're in a good place. You have goodwill. That's what it sounds like to me. Goodwill from the family, given that they are in agreement. That's important. Now, I'll give you a few things to look out for that I would do in your situation. Okay, first of all, make sure you get the Mzee to provide you, because he is still the registered owner of record. As far as the government of Kenya, the issue of title is concerned, the property still belongs to the Mzee. Of course, you will have obtained his national ID. Okay, if you can, make sure you see the actual one yourself, and therefore the soft copy or certified copy is simply to allow you to engage further, knowing that it is indeed a copy of a true original. Okay, same thing with the PIN certificate for the Mzee. The original title, hopefully you can view it. If you're not here to view it personally, your advocate can do that for you, and you obtain certified copies of it. With those, you can then conduct your searches, blah, 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 like you say you've done. After you've done your search, please ask your lawyer to obtain a certified copy of the green card to the title of the property that you are buying specifically. Okay? Certified copy of the green card. I've advised this before, that if you want to get the full history of a file, a registry file on a property, that's going to be contained on the green card. because that goes all the way back to whenever that property was given birth to from the subdivision process or whatever the case may have been. The best time to get the certified copy of the green card is after you've done the search. Most people will do the two of those concurrently because after all, it's done by the same officers at the same registry. I advise against doing that. As a general practice, I will do the search first, wait a couple of days or 1 day, and then ask for a certified copy of the green card, because that's a great way to confirm that the search report that they provided you beforehand was accurately lifted off of the green card. Because when you do a search, they actually look at what is on record on the green card and tell you what it says as at current status. So the reason I like to do the green card after is to flag off any monkey business internally with the registry, because sometimes there's collusion with corrupt officers at the registries and conmen to present an untrue picture of the situation. But that's very difficult to do if you get the search first and then go get the green card after, okay? So make sure you do that, have your advocate do that for you. The other thing I would do...
She's written a comment that she's already done the green card and also the search.
Awesome. So if the green card and the search are in agreement, you're covered in that respect. The other thing I would do is send a licensed surveyor or a registered surveyor's assistant. You will know because they will provide you their licenses or registration certificate. Before you engage them, make sure they provide you current credentials to make sure that you're covered from an indemnity perspective, okay? Send them to survey the land to confirm the dimensions, the shape, and the size, and location. That surveyor will also confirm to you that your mutation form is accurate, and if they haven't given that to you yet, the surveyor can also requisition a registry index map. That's actually more important than your mutation form. A lot of people don't know that. Mutation forms are actually supposed to be inaccessible, particularly when the registry index map has been updated, because the registry index map is the final mapping authority for general boundaries properties, which is likely the case in your situation. If I listen to the circumstances or location of the property, right? So get a surveyor to confirm those details for you, and then get on with your transaction with a sale agreement. Now, the other thing I do in situations like yours, Nancy, is I will have the mzee, if he has any spouses alive, all of them, because in some cultures they have multiple wives. When you have polygamy, I have every spouse witness a sale agreement along with the registered owner of record. I will also have adult children, every child over the age of 18 or 18 and above, also witness that sale agreement. Because that does away with any future issues where someone comes up and says, my future inheritance was sold without my knowledge and I am of age, blah, blah, blah. Have every adult person in that homestead witness a sale agreement between you and the registered owner of record, in this case, MZ. In some cases, you'll have 5 signing pages, depending on how big the family is. Doesn't matter, it's extra clerical work for your lawyer, that's what you pay them for. Get it done, it'll save you untold headaches later. It's just something to do to cover yourself, just in case. In the most extreme cases, I will even have the chief and the sub-chief witness, as well as the 2 immediate neighbors. But that doesn't seem to be necessary for you in this situation. So if you can't do it, why not? But you know, that's a bit more involving, and the family may not want their neighbors or the chief and sub-chief in their business anyway. Adult children in the family would suffice, along with every spouse or the single spouse, because after all, they will need to sign an affidavit, spousal consent, consenting to their spouse selling off the land to you. That's actually a requirement at the registry before the transfer can be effected from there to you. So make sure you get it done right. In the end, all that can be managed and refereed appropriately by your licensed advocate. So pick a good lawyer. We've given instructions before on how to do that. Chances are you already have our Grand Acres checklist, the 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. Given what homework you've already done, it sounds like you already have it. But if in case you don't, just go to our website, www.grandacres.co.ke, find the checklist tab, download it absolutely free, and follow each step along the way, and you will have no issues with that transaction. Final step for you, Nancy, once you are done with the transaction, as you finish, please, even if you're going to pay the family a deposit upfront because they have needs, understandably, people sell land for a reason. They're not selling because they're bored. They want to do something with the money, and land is emotive. Even if you're going to pay them directly, have it done formally through your advocate. Okay, don't send it directly from yourself. Send to the advocate, let there be record that your advocate has paid so they sign off for it, or there's banking statements and that sort of thing. But for your balance, send it to an escrow account and don't have it released to the family until the conditions of your sale agreement have been met, meaning either all completion documents handed over to your advocate, fully ratified by the seller, or even registration of the title to your name, depending on what you agree with the family. Your advocate can advise you on that as well. Finally, in the end, when the transfer is completed, have your advocate do another search, wait a day or two, and then get a certified copy of the green card again. Why do we do that? Just to make sure that the records in the back end of the registry are in agreement with what has been put on your title deed. It's not always the case, because sometimes due to backlog, they will rush to type out title deeds and not finish the most important work in the back end, which is the green cards. Strictly speaking, they're not supposed to sign off on the actual title deed until the green card has been created. But we're dealing with offices where there's human beings, and human error occurs constantly. And sometimes it's done the other way around because they're quick, they want to rush and finish, they'll release a title, and yet they have not created or registered the green card on the back end. This is why even after I've given my title in our name, I go back and do a second search, wait a day or two, and get a certified copy of the green card, just to make sure that the records are now complete historically, showing how it moved from its creation up to my present ownership, having concluded the transaction, and Bob's your uncle. Or we, as like, we grandees like to say here in the office, it's a grand acres to you. So I wish you all success, Nancy. Thank you for your question, that was great. And I hope it concludes painlessly and without issue. If I'll add one last thing, Nancy, another thing to look out for, this is a big red flag for us. It doesn't get talked about very often, but the issue of land control boards. I'm assuming that the land is agricultural freehold. If it is agricultural, you're going to need to get land control board consent to transfer from Mzee to yourself. That being the case, absolutely under no circumstances should you agree to a special board. Special board is a common term that most people in the industry use for expedited approval, which means shortcuts are taken, you don't pay the government the official fee, the money is eaten by the land board members, or at least a few of the work, the corruptors who are facilitating this. They backdate your consent letter to the last formal hearing. You're not listed in the minutes for that hearing. It's just it's a minefield of future problems. As strictly speaking, special boards are absolutely illegal. That is the official position by the Ministry of Lands. Your advocate can confirm that for you. If they feel otherwise, fire them immediately and get yourself another advocate. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Make sure that the Mzee goes to the normal land control board hearing. They will have booked it in advance, paid the fee, you have a receipt, you will be listed in the program for the day, they'll call you in, they'll have minutes recording the outcome of your of Mze's petition to have the property transferred to you. You get your letter of consent, all the dates are in alignment, and you have an impeachable record of having followed due process. So with those few words and many words, all the best to you, Nancy. That's a great question. Thank you. Do we have another? How much time do we have left?
It's or two. And
Oh my God.
we have 3 more.
Okay, we'll cover just one last question. For those whose questions I want to cover on the session, I'll call you guys tomorrow and answer you directly if that's okay, in the interest of time. So we'll do just one more voice note. Let's hear it.
Okay, it's from Duncan from TikTok.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Duncan. I'm watching you from Dar es Salaam on TikTok. So I had a question regarding this mutation and subdivision of land. So I have a piece of land somewhere. So I got the title. I went through the normal process, did the due diligence with the advocate that I was working with.
Yeah.
But now I just wanted to confirm, because when I went to check for some approvals for some plan that I've done, architectural plan, and this structure at the municipal, at the county offices. So I was told there are some land rates that are still old. Although the land title is a freehold title within Kiambu County. And the next thing I was told also is that the mother title was not closed, that to close the mother title, there is a process that is done before the mutation, which was never done. So I was advised for the people who bought that piece of land, it was a 1 acre subdivided 40 by 80, 16 pieces. We need to have consent from all of us, and we come together and go close this mother title. So I just wanted to confirm this was some news that I never had. If this is the case, how do I go about it, and also what is the due diligence probably that we might have missed here? Your response will be appreciated. Thank you for the good work.
Wow, that's a great question. Thank you, Duncan, for sharing that in such detail from Dar es Salaam. I trust you all had Duncan's question, so I'll just dive right in. So, wow. So first of all, there's pending land rates, even though that the land is freehold in Kiambu County. Okay, so normally, Duncan, whenever you present completion documents, the full package of documentation required by the lands registrar, so that they can effect a transfer from the seller or the previous owner to yourself, one of the things they typically require is a land rates clearance certificate from the county to make sure that there are no pending taxes being carried over from the last ownership to you. Because once the title is transferred to you, they create a new file with your name at the county level to compute your rates and so on. Now, the reason that may not have been flagged at the registry is because normally, typically speaking, freehold land is not rateable or rentable. Rates are paid to the county, rent is paid to the national government. The term freehold in itself is suggestive of no taxes. You have a free hold of the property for perpetuity. That's a general idea behind freehold. Now, what has happened since devolution started to take place in Kenya, counties have been encouraged by the national government to find their own sources of revenue generation. One of the key areas counties can do that is from properties within their jurisdiction. Hence, a lot of counties now charging or levying rates even for freehold land within their jurisdiction. Strictly speaking, it's not supposed to happen, but it's happening, which is why the Ministry of Lands would not have asked you for a clearance certificate for the title to be transferred. Okay, otherwise they would have told you you're missing a clearance certificate for rates, because they would know from the title documents you presented whether or not rates are supposed to be levied on the property. So this is a common issue all over the country, because counties are aggressive about collecting their own revenues without waiting for allocations from the national government. And so you'll find a lot of freehold properties having rates payable. And because of that strange arrangement, there's a disconnection of flow of information from the county to the Ministry of Lands office, which is still a national function, not a county. Registries are managed purely by the national government, Ministry of Lands. Rates are paid to the county. Now, if the county decides you have to pay a rate, you just have to pay. Otherwise, you will not have an opportunity for them to give you building permits and approvals to construct on your property, because they'll keep hanging that over your head. Hey, you haven't paid your rates, so we're not giving you building permits. So just pay them, keep them current every year. They're usually very nominal. It's not unreasonable. Just get it done until someone sorts that issue out in court, and probably the Supreme Court decides whether or not counties should be charging rates for freehold land. We are all subject to paying the rates. Otherwise, you get stuck. You're not able to develop on the property, because permits for developing on the property are only issued by the county or the municipal office, as you call it. Okay, that's one. Number two, on the issue of the mother title was not closed. That is a classic symptom of due process not having been followed when they were subdividing the land. Where the gap might have come, it's difficult to say. Your licensed advocate can look at that in detail with the assistance of a surveyor who can query the documents internally, whether it's the survey department, the county surveyor who issued land registry numbers for the subdivisions. Did he have all the documents in place? When he did, they were taken to the Ministry of Lands office. At that point is when the mother title is supposed to be closed. Now, if a mother title is not closed, that generally means that the mother title was not presented for defacement. In my experience, that means there's a mother title floating around somewhere out there that should not be floating around there, for the same properties that you and the other 15 individuals have purchased plots from. Therefore, the need for you guys to regularize that. If indeed the title was surrendered and there was a clerical error internally, your collective action as the buyers or the owners of these subdivided plots will be critical in supporting action internally from the registry. My strong advice to you is all of you assign one advocate, a very strong one who knows how to navigate that registry, to follow up on this for you, because they can be a lot more efficient as opposed to 16 of you trying to coordinate yourselves on your own. Work together, pay a licensed advocate the necessary fee, because after all, if this is not done, you guys don't have titles anyway, and that is what you want at the end of the day, because you are even ready to build. So that's my advice to you, and I wish you all success in getting that done, and congratulations to you for taking bold steps to own land in Kenya from Dar es Salaam. Oh, I think we're done, right? For the two who sent in your voice notes, I promise to reach out to you tomorrow. I'll coordinate with Gladys. You let us know what time is best for you, and I can answer to the best of my ability based on our 11 and a half years experience doing this in Kenya since 2012. The point is simply to share our learnings that can edify you, help you avoid mistakes we might have made in the past, and build on our successes and area growth. So I thank you all for participating. I'm so grateful that you take time out of your precious evening to be with us. And I look forward to this Thursday's live session where it's comments, questions and answers on the platforms. You don't have to call or send voice notes. That will be the normal format on Thursday. So if you have something pressing, Feel free to join us in. Share, comment, subscribe, invite your friends, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.